Hi, friends. Hollie Clere, social media advisor. I wanted to come to you today and talk about strategy. I have been having some wonderful conversations with some people after attending a conference, and there were a lot of ideas, and talking to some other marketing folks, which was really super fun. And we've all come to the same conclusion. There's businesses out there who are trying to sell you strategy and they don't actually know how to implement that in social media. It's curious because that is a dangerous thing, my friends. Let me give you a sample. So if you build websites for a living, that is your huckleberry. You live in the website space. You're all about building a presence and a brand through a website, telling a story. You can provide excellent, superb monthly support on your website services if that is your niche. But when you start saying, I'm going to do website development, I'm going to write your blogs, I'm going to do your newsletter, I'm going to do your social media marketing, now you're dipping your toes in things that you're not necessarily an expert in. Why is that important to have a conversation about? Because there's so much attention to detail that's put behind an actual strategy for your social media marketing. Let me explain to you a couple of things. So one of those is understanding what your brand is. Your brand is your culture, your personality, how you serve, how you want people to feel in your experience with them. Your brand isn't necessarily just your logo, your fonts, your colors. It's your entire experience of value. So my brand, for example, has a lot of colors, right? I'm fun, I'm nurturing, I like to provide education, I like to provide value, sprinkled in with a little bit of glitter, sparkles, and sometimes unicorns, and maybe Game of Thrones. So that's the culture of my brand. Understanding that your brand and your messaging need to be in alignment completely is where the strategy comes about. So looking at your online marketing, you don't want to just pull content from a bucket of posts and articles that everyone else is posting from. Reason number one is because in Facebook land, you'll actually get penalized. Your views will be decreased because of the fact that all sorts of other people in your industry are also posting the same thing. So when we look at a strategy with social media, it's not just about pulling from content, just getting things out there. It's pulling your brand into images, into storytelling, into culture. So that way your audience really knows how you serve and how you want them to feel when they have an experience with you. And that's the idea behind strategy. You can't just pull from a bucket of content. Create images that really tell your story, how you serve, who you serve, why you serve. And you can only do that by creating your own images in the likeness of your brand, right? Now, if you're contracted with a company that does all of your website, all of your blogs, all of your social media marketing, they're not going to necessarily be able to really produce a story for you that has a strategy for organic reach without having to do paid reach. So one of the things that I came up with at the end of last year was what I call the quarterly strategy roadmap. And look at me talking with my hands. I'm so excited. We sit down with businesses who maybe have team who can do all their own postings, and we develop a list of hashtags, 50 to 70 hashtags. So that way they know exactly what their brand culture speaks to. The hashtags resemble conversations of who they're wanting to serve and how they're wanting to serve. They can take and copy these 50 to 70 hashtags and put them in posts to really build organic reach. Not only that, but they know what their monthly theme is, what their weekly theme is, what their daily theme is. That way when they're creating their posts, or if they're wanting us to create their posts, either way, They are right in alignment with what their brand messaging is. The themes for the days, the weeks, the months are all in alignment with the brand and where they are in that season. They never run out of content to post. They're never having to pull content from buckets of places that have the same repetitive stuff and articles to choose from, because they're creating their own. And that's just the thing, my friends. A lot of us in business have restrictions in our industries of things that we can and can't talk about. For example, P&C insurance. P&C insurance cannot talk about rates. They can't talk about packages or bundles. So what are you going to talk about? What are the interests of your organization? We actually did a lot of work for a company that they loved their dogs. They went on outings with their families. Their entire messaging was about preparedness. P&C insurance company never once talked about sign up for a free quote, or here's some packages, here's how much I saved someone, or here's the bundles, here's the people we're working with. They talked about preparedness in adventures. They were having adventures with their dogs, adventures with their kids. They were going bicycling in Moab. And we were sharing that message. And you know what? They were drawing in people who also loved their dogs, loved going on adventures, bicycling, and places like Moab. Why that was valuable for them is because they were drawing in people that had similar interests and likes to them. And they weren't just throwing spaghetti at a wall and hoping it stuck. Does that make sense? So you can have a business that has restrictions on social media marketing, but you can tell a story in a new way to really draw in the audience that you're wanting to seek through all those hashtags, through the editorial calendar. It's a strategy, my friends. It's not just creating content just to create content. You're going to run out of stuff to say. So that's the big message I wanted to share with you. Strategy is all about developing the voice behind who your brand is and letting your audience know how it is that you really want them to feel when they have an experience with you. And that, my friends, is what we try to do for you here at the Social Media Advisor. So getting off my soapbox a little bit, I definitely needed to share this with you guys. It's so important to look at, what does your online presence say? And it's not a matter of you having to spend hours every day creating content, putting it out there. You can schedule things out ahead of time. And if you don't want to do it internally, you can have that outsourced. But it's so valuable for you to share your story. And I am so passionate about it. I get emotional because it's so important to me and it's so important to your brand. And I want to see you thrive and succeed. As Jeff said, consistency is so important to your social media strategy, and you have to stay in alignment with that editorial calendar. So if that's something that resonates with you, let's have a conversation. I'm Hollie Clere, social media advisor, strategist, consultant, author. Let's be awesome in social media.